On June 23, the best sprinter in the world, Black Caviar, has her date with destiny in the Diamond Jubilee Stakes at Royal Ascot. I caught up with her trainer, Peter Moody, in Adelaide, Australia, to discuss the great mare. Peter, it was in 1921 that Gloaming landed 19 consecutive races. To match Desert Gold's record from 5 years earlier, you've absolutely smashed that out the water now. It must feel great.
Oh, it's an unbelievable feel. It's very surreal, to be involved with such a great horse. And I know she's only done it domestically, but she's beaten everything that's been put in front of her, and 20 straight. It's certainly something very special.
Everyone in Australia knows Farlap. They've probably heard of Maccabi Diva, but there aren't many people now who haven't heard of Black Caviar.
It's been unbelievable the way the people have taken to her. People outside of racing, the massive crowd we've seen here again in Adelaide. It's probably surpassed what she's been through in Melbourne, Sydney and Brisbane before it. It's just amazing how the general public have taken to her.
So how's the journey been for you?
It's a great ride, and I feel an obligation to promote racing, but at the same time I've got a big team of horses at home that also need a lot of care and attention, probably more so than this one because they're not as good. So it is testing at times. I'd be lying if I said otherwise, but it's a pain in the backside, but I'm glad it's mine.
I remember in the Farlap movie, when Farlap kept winning, the authorities almost got the hump eventually and sort of tried to stop Farlap from winning. With Black Caviar, she keeps winning at very short prices. Has there been any feeling from the authorities that this isn't good for racing, or has everyone just felt this is incredibly special?
No, it's been, I think people really appreciate what she's done for our sport. She's really put us on the front foot, in a very proud sporting nation. She's taking racing to the forefront of that. There's so many opportunities for people to take in different or various sports throughout Australia, but she's really put racing on the front and back pages of the newspaper for all the right reasons. And I think racing officials, people involved within the industry have realised how great she's been for it.
It's been an amazing thing, really, because she's a sprinter. And of course, in Australian racing, it's all about the Melbourne Cup. If you don't win the Melbourne Cup, you're not a hero. So the fact that she's been a sprinter and completely taken over Australia is a great credit to her.
Yeah, no, it's she's broken a lot of new ground in that way, and like you say, she hasn't won one of our big races, our Cox Plate, a Melbourne Cup, a Caulfield Cup or a Golden Slipper, but yet she's still probably held in the highest esteem, and could turn out to be the greatest ever. But the public have just taken to her like no horse has been accepted before, and people with absolutely no interest in, not only in racing, in horses in general, are captured by this horse. It's been a tremendous ride.
In Australia, people get Black Caviar, Peter, but back in the UK, people still say that she's beat nothing. She's got to prove herself, which is why she has to go for the Diamond Jubilee Stakes at Royal Ascot. How much of a massive blow would it be for you if she got beat?
Oh, listen, it would be, the only way it'll happen is if something doesn't go right. And I won't run her at Ascot unless she's right. We've shown time and again in the last decade that the Australian sprinters are far superior to any others in the world. We've just seen Hortensia win in Dubai, who can't get within 6 or 8 lengths of this mare pulling up. The ridiculous side of this situation is we're going 3/4 of the way around the world to race for less prize money against what we believe to be far inferior horses to what she's been racing against here in Australia. You've seen some of our great sprinters, Miss Andretti, take over Target, Schwazi, go over there and win. They wouldn't hold a candle to this horse. There's no risk, and this is people removed from her, the trainers of those horses. So you've never seen anything like this horse before. So it'll be an absolute tragedy if she went there and got beat by your B-grade sprinters for half the prize money and 3/4 of the way around the world. It'll be a tragedy, and it's something I'll make all endeavours not to happen. If I take her all the way over there and she's not right, I won't run her for the sake of running her.
In the UK, Peter, people will think that you're dodging Frankel. They all want this clash between the world's greatest horse, which is Frankel, Peter, and your mare, Black Caviar. The headline writers are saying Black Caviar's dodging Frankel. Are you dodging our great horse?
Well, we've got a lot of great racetracks out here. The world's becoming a smaller racing place. I would suggest the Poms, maybe with their bit of a stuck-up attitude, need to start travelling to Australia a bit more often. You come out here for our Melbourne Cup, which is a glorified handicap. It's noted as the best staying race in the world. I'm not sure if that's right or not. Best staying handicap because you don't run handicaps over there. Everything's set weights. You're not prepared to put yourself on a stage at handicaps.
We have a race called the Tote Ebor, which is the Melbourne Cup.
Yeah, it's quite extraordinary. But we run a tremendous lot of races, and the world, like I said, is shrinking as a racing. On a racing stage. There's no reason why some of these European horses can't venture to Australia, because our prize money is far superior to anything you get in Europe. Our tracks, our conditions that we race under are just as good as anywhere in the world. And, with the global giants like Coolmore and Darley spreading their wings well into Australian racing, there's no reason why these horses can't venture down here and take us on our own turf. I sort of really ridicule the fact that we've got to go to England to prove ourselves to be as good as we know we are. It's an absolutely ridiculous situation.
But England, of course, is known as the best racing in the world, which is why Choisir, Takeover Target, Miss Andretti, they all came. They built on their reputation. Whether you agree with that or not, on a world basis, your reputation will be increased if you win the Diamond Jubilee.
Yeah, well, that's very arguable. It really is.
How would you argue against that?
Well, why is English racing the best in the world? Any time I've been there, it seems to be struggling. Maybe you should come and learn from our model in Australia. And then you have the Hong Kong series in December. You have Dubai. You have the Breeders' Cup. Who's laying claim to the best racing in the world?
International classifications at the end of the year, the majority of horses will be UK or Irish based in the top 10.
Yeah, which once again we ridicule down here. We're a pretty odd sort of a breed, as you know. We lay claim to our own champions, and I know it's an international classification, but how you can judge Frankel to be better than Black Caviar to be better than the sprinters over there, I don't know. I think it's a ridiculous situation until they actually meet. And where do you meet on level terms? Do we go all the way there to Goodwood and race Frankel over 1,600 metres on his domain on a track that he knows?
Well, if you're as good as you say you are, you shouldn't be worried.
But see, this is the English side of it, trying to present a challenge that the Aussies will and must take up, and I'm not falling for that. Why doesn't Frankel come to Australia and race us at 7 furlongs on one of our flat tracks? Why do we have to race in a ploughed paddock in some down and out suburb in the bottom end of England for no money?
Well, it's fairly put, I suppose. Let's just talk about your trip to England. How will Black Caviar be on a plane for that time? Is she the type of horse that would take travelling well, do you think? She's
learnt to really look after herself. Her temperament's changed dramatically the last couple of years. As a young horse, she was very bullish, didn't know how to look after herself, but she's learnt to become very patient, and she's travelled extensively throughout Australia now. And, it's a long testing trip, as anyone that's come from that side of the world to Australia knows, and as we've been there previously to England. And you really don't know until you attempt it, but I'm hopeful and confident that she'll cope with it well.
She'll be based in Newmarket?
She'll be based in Newmarket. That's where I've been the last few seasons when I've taken horses to Ascot, so it's surrounds that I know and my staff know, so we're very happy there.
Again, in the days of Farlap, we remember in the movie security round Farlap as if she was the crown jewels. I mean, will you have snipers on the local houses? I mean, presumably you will step up security for her, though.
I think there's been an offer from the Australian government to send the SAS over. But, oh no, listen, we'll be taking precautions, but the precautions will be not thinking anyone is wanting to do anything untoward to such a horse. It's a matter of giving the horse some peace and quiet, so certainly security precautions will be taken, and, mainly to just keep well-wishers at bay somewhat so the horse can have some general rest and peace and quiet while she's there.
Obviously, you've got to go into quarantine with Black Caviar. What about a chance of meeting Frankel possibly on the gallops at Warren Hill, or indeed on a racetrack if a specially approved gallop took place? Is there any chance we could see Black Caviar and Frankel going up Warren Hill together?
Oh, well, see, once again, we don't race on hills.
Well, you better start, because Ascot, there is quite a steep...
I think the smartest thing I said 6 months ago is that their greatest opportunity to meet will be in the breeding barn in the middle of one night somewhere down the track. Listen, let's enjoy them for what they both are. They're both great horses. I don't want to judge mine better than he or he better than her. Let's just enjoy them. They're terrific horses. They're on different paths. I certainly am not going to interrupt my program to take on Frankel. Henry Cecil's certainly not going to interrupt Frankel's program to take my mare on, and he's been under a little bit of an injury cloud also, so let's enjoy them from what they are. Why do they have to clash? Why does someone have to walk away a loser? I know people are putting up mammoth amounts of money. It would be tremendous for the sport. Why can't we have 2 champions? What's wrong with that?
You've been to Ascot before. You know the 6 furlongs there is very different to anything Black Caviar has experienced in Australia. She's a big mare. Do you think she can cope with the downhill stretch, the different 6 furlongs she'll encounter?
You know, it'll be totally foreign to her, but I sort of equate the Diamond Jubilee 6 furlongs to probably a 7 furlong race by our standards in Australia on our flatter, softer tracks. Softer, I mean, as in not uphill and down dale. And that's why I was keen to run her in a 7 furlong race this campaign, to give her a bit of grounding. But I've always had unbelievable belief that this mare would run a mile and a quarter if trained and asked to do it. But I've always feared the fact that she may not be able to cope with the strain of that training with her numerous ailments. So no, she's got an unbelievable ability to relax on such a high cruising speed and even on such a slow speed. So she can adapt to any conditions, and I think she'll be able to look after herself to handle those sort of conditions that will present at Ascot.
We'll have sectional timing for the first time at the Royal Meeting this time around, which is...
the Beatles have broken up. You knew that, did you?
Yeah,
you worked that out over there.
We finally got there.
Yeah.
At huge expense, probably just for you, actually. And what fraction can she do in the final furlong of the Diamond Jubilee? You know in detail what she can run. What can she go through in that final furlong?
Well, we've never set out to break records with her, or margins. I don't care if she runs 18 for a last furlong. As long as she's in front on the line, and you know, there's no more prize money. As you know, we've never attempted to beat the clock or to demoralise the opposition. I know she's won by 5 and 6 lengths at times, but she's usually comfortably won her races by a length to 2 or 3. And Luke's always looked after her once the job's done, and we'll continue down that path. So she'll run what she needs to run.
The greatest sprinter in the history of the earth, would you say?
Well, in my short career. But, you know, I'm obviously got a very biased opinion. I'm sure there's people out there that would think otherwise, but I think people further removed would be better off, you know, being asked that question than someone so closely involved.
Well, speaking of your relatively short career, Peter, your record outside of Australia, it's not 100%, is it?
No, I think I'm about 0-4, from 0 from 4 attempts. But... oh, listen, the Aussie cricket team never won outside of Australia until we came over and kicked your bum at Lord's back in the 1800s. So, you know, we're always open to new ideas down here. We're an open-minded group of people that are really happy to get up there to Europe and smack a bit of European arse.